I have scared my family members and relatives quite often in my life, and every time this happens, I either get scolded for it or we have a good laugh about it. There were times when their reactions would be explosive. Obviously, that would startle me as well. But here's the thing. I almost never do it on purpose. Okay, maybe I have a few times, but most of the time, it's never on purpose. It's always an accident. This happened when I was still a small child. It was a quiet afternoon at my nano's place. Everyone was probably asleep. The house was very, very quiet and a bit dark, illuminated by the afternoon sunlight. I, on the other hand, was not asleep. I was crawling around the house until I reached a bedroom. My nano had a small but pretty house with 3 rooms and a kitchen, and obviously a shower room and a toilet. In one of the rooms were placed 4 beds where everyone would sleep, and when I reached one of the beds, I grabbed onto the bed sheets and pulled myself up to see what was up there. I hadn't learned how to walk yet, so whoever was on that bed got startled by my sudden appearance. Now, of course, I don't remember this, but the one who was on that bed does, and he was the one who told me about this. One of my older uncles, who used to live there until he moved out, was lying on the bed awake. He was deep in thought until a small, pale, bald head rose up from under his bed in the dark, like a little white Jinn materialized right there. I didn't get a big reaction out of him, but I definitely caught him off guard. Even as a kid, I was jump scaring my family. This was a terrible habit, and I don't know why I never learned from it. At my nana's place, the toilet was located near the gate, the entrance to the small house, and when one would enter the house, you would be standing in a small hall-like place. I'll try to draw it the best I can so it makes sense. I don't think you'd call it a hall. Well, I'll draw it the best I can and you just tell me what you think. Now, at night, before we went to bed, the lights in the hall would be switched off to avoid waking anyone up in the night. Except I would always switch the lights on to avoid scaring anyone on my way to the toilet. How about that? Now, where I live, it is a common occurrence for the electricity to be cut off for many hours a day, which meant that some nights I wouldn't be able to switch on the lights in the hall to go to the toilet. This put whoever was in the toilet room at night before me at a major disadvantage, not only because bugs would crawl out from the cracks and crevices of the walls inside the toilet room, but because I was so quiet, one would never know that I was outside, and the lights were the only thing that made it less terrifying. I woke up one dark night needing to use the toilet, but when I got there, the toilet was occupied, and the lights wouldn't switch on. Just great. I went back to check who was missing and found out that it was my youngest uncle, and he takes a very long time, so I walked back to the hall and hoisted myself up on his motorcycle to wait. It was absolutely dumb of me to be sitting in that hallway because when the lights would go out, that hallway would be the darkest part of the whole house. So of course, when my uncle exited the toilet room, he jumped and cursed under his breath. I've done this plenty of times. On accident, of course, because I usually forget to make a little noise while I'm waiting, whether the lights are on or off, which is why what makes this particular memory funnier to me is that I only thought of alerting him of my presence when he exited the toilet room. Like, imagine leaving the toilet room at night and it's complete silence. You stand for a bit because you're still half asleep, your brain believes you're fully alone, until you hear a presence clearing its throat in the darkest part of the hallway. I don't know if I'm just being paranoid, but while reading this part of the script out loud, I was fully expecting to hear something in the darkest part of my room, which probably means I should just be heading to bed by now. I still have more stories to tell you, but that's all the time I have for today. So I guess I'll see you in the next video then. Bye!